Maya and the Glory. The sound of the bathroom door opening, a strong jasmine scent wafting into the room off a damp, naked woman form. I felt more than saw her before she slipped between the sheets, covered my body with hers, covered my mouth with her mouth, and slipped her hand behind my neck, never relinquishing the lip lock she had on my mouth and tongue. Into the center of a circle, into the center of circumscribed space, containing trace elements of every experience and all discrete knowledge heretofore gained. I languished in free fall with no acceleration other than that provided by the gravity of circumstance, no deceleration other than the aerodynamic dream drag of my spirit quest and soul yearning. I settled into her kiss, opened her mouth wider with my tongue. She used hers to fence with mine, paint my lips and cheek walls with sensuous sigils and prurient pentalphas, drawing me in, firing my nerves to sustain spiking responses, her fingers deflecting my skin, sending radiating ripples of pleasure in every direction. Within that self-center, within that sacred solar space, I find my spirit feet and steady myself as I step forward, step toward its circumference. Certain forces, certain experience cling like shadows, stirring and awakening, dormant senses and powers, rages and terrors, make themselves felt, take on shape and form, coalesce into maleficent embodied consequences of my defunct past, haunting the thresholds of self. Our mouths one, her tongue my tongue, her teeth my teeth, her hands my hands, and fingers kiss, suck, licked, bit, stroke, kneaded, squeezed, and slapped. Provoked process, input path, sensory interface, a cascade of sensory motor control and glandular function, release pressure and vibrating energy, unleash pheromones, hormones, love juices, and organic joy. I am a multiplanar spirit. My body, senses, and consciousness drawn from the circumferential substances of the planes on which I exist. A threshold dweller, born of the detritus of my past, faces me on each plane, challenges me, bars me the way to ascending planes of life. A chthonic figuration, this, of my monotonous and annoying protracted self-doubt and contempt, my incandescent rage and prodigious lust. Can I prevail? Will I win through? I sighed, breathing my pleasure into her. That sigh slipped sweetly through her lips and teeth. She slipped off of me and onto her back, her brown scented vision embossed on my skin, her large, slightly slanted eyes closed, her wide African nose with its broad curving nostrils anticipating, waiting to flare again in the next spasm of body whispers and murmurs born of ecstatically firing neurons. My dweller is about me, a separate malevolence that embodies every thought, every act which serves me not. I face my adversary now with squashed stance, my weighty resolved, evenly distributed willingness the driving force behind any forward thrust. We grapple, any hold, trip, or throw permitted. Insight intrudes, illumines. I embrace my shadow, hold it close. This upsets it, takes it out of position. I pin the dweller with my love. It submits and disappears. I love you, she said. My lips found her neck, shoulder, and then her naked nipple. I let them suck, a gentle suction drawing in the entire tip. Her hand found my penis and squeezed, a terse, urgent communication made by sliding her hand up and down its shaft, made by cupping my swollen scrotum, foretelling how soon it might be falling heavily on her. Beyond blended form and sound, before piercing concentric planes of the self-made of mine, is a silence, a great silence, where all the world seems to vanish, and the spirit is a feeling float into an ocean of light, a sweet colloidal eternity of now. And lo, even here there lurks a dweller, born of the misunderstanding of ideas, a radiant construct of guilt, glamour, and illusion, to test my besotted intuition, my ability to hold the mind steady in the light, transmute the dweller into an angel of the presence. I pried her piston hand from my tumescence. I turned away from her clutching hands, but in a way that I could easily reach the petals of her vulva and touch them with a master's hand. I waited until her inner petals peeled and parted. I took my mouth to her other breasts and let my slick fingers capture and claim their sweet, juicy prize. The dweller here pits lusty cravings against soul yearnings and initiation, the appetites against self-transcendence. A false contest, this, for human desire is no less sacred than supernal love, and my flawed life no less divine than anything else made of and in part of God. This time I surrendered and took refuge in my heart's center, found a place of great wonder. I surrendered my separate self and moved to my conditioning's edge. I met life anew. I relinquished the impulses of thought, feeling, and desire, if only for a moment. I found her eye in the body and covered it with mouth and tongue. I smeared my lips with her honey until the rippling currents of her contracting muscles ran river-like through her skin. She caught my hair in claw-like fingers, pulled my mouth away. With salacious grace she straddled my face and took my homologous offering in her mouth. And in my heart I reflect, I, immortal in essence, though draped in raciocinnative clothes, am lunar and solar, a twin mystery, divine and profane, Father and Son one, innocent and without blemish. Neither stain can pollute nor punishment reach, yet do I suffer the imaginary pain of mortals, the sin sickness of the false god Mammon, and die the little deaths 'tween every breath, until the time of fulfilling the unfulfilled comes, until Devachan, until efflorescent spirit yearns, screams, unheard in the great silence, until I repine for another sojourn between defining deaths. She measured my length with her snaking tongue, licking from root to tip, sending pulsing down my shaft surging waves of pleasure, depth charges exploding in the spaces of my soul. I grabbed her bubbled buttocks, palming globes of erotic delight, wrapped her sweet vulvet trinity around my chin, and impaled her on my intrepid talking spear. I emerged from the chambers of my heart, a golden sphere, a being of highest purified mind, a vortex of orbiting heart-shaped energy, where pulsations are so intense they become dense, appearing even to be standing still. Is there no dweller here? Yes, there is one. It is I, who stands trembling before the angel and the presence it protects. I am the angel, and yet I am not. I must free myself even from the shining ones who would turn my eyes down, who would make my consciousness fall. So wet was she as her fluids dripped and tracked my face with misdirected tears. My throbbing desire at her fragrant gait pushed past its slick, slippery portal. She took me in her hands to guide me along its silken foyer until stayed by yet another membranous gate. She drew me in as far as the gate allowed, then gripped my hips with all her strength and pulled. Instead, I lift my eyes to the vision of my soul, and in its light reach for union, reach for the guarantee and promise of the radiant sun. It reveals in its turn as the light of the moon guarantees the sun's existence. So does the light of the sun guarantee an even greater light and life. I am the dweller, and the dweller is me, and is no more. The paradox resolved. I rejoin those who have broken loose from the aura of evolution, liberated themselves from the Devic ocean, from the angels of darkness and light, and penetrated divine will, who have liberated their own identities and sent them forth angel agents of redemption. I felt the membrane stretch and finally burst. I felt the rush of warm fluid as she cried out, felt the tearing, searing pain register cold, then hot on my own free nerve endings until washed in the blood. I felt her vaginal grip and pull take me deep inside, into a cosmic rhythm we could both sustain, clinging to each other, holding on until the fabric of paradoxical reality began to shred.